Something strange happens when you follow an idol for 20 years. At first, you watch to see him win, but after a while, you start watching for a different reason. You want to see how he deals with defeat, with age, with the weight of having already won everything, because there's a question nobody asks out loud. How do you know when it's time? Federer found the answer in 2022. Nadal closed the circle in 2024. Fognini felt it in July of 2025. And Wawrinka has just announced that 2026 will be his final season. Each of them learned something different about knowing when to walk away. This Christmas, I want to write a letter, not to ask you to keep going, but to thank you for everything you taught us, including what it means to let go with dignity. But here's what sets Federer apart from every other idol you can think of. Dear Roger, when you announced in September 2022 that the Laver Cup would be your final tournament, everyone felt it immediately. An era was ending. But you didn't leave because you were pushed out. You left because you chose your ending. 41 years old, more than 2 decades at the top of the game. You looked at the crowd and said, in your own quiet way, I know when it's time. For someone who spent a lifetime winning, maybe the hardest thing wasn't chasing one more Grand Slam. It was accepting that your body had limits, that your best version had an expiration date, and even so, you chose to step away. One of your greatest gifts wasn't a trophy. It was showing that longevity was possible. After years of injuries, travel, losses, pressure, you were still competing at a level very few can sustain. Longevity isn't luck, it's discipline. It's knowing when to lower expectations without abandoning who you are. And that's exactly why the goodbyes of this generation feel so heavy. Federer left when he understood it was time. Nadal did the same in 2024, acknowledging the toll the body demands. When Fognini hit his limit at Wimbledon in July, that long, intense match, so much his style, it felt less like a plan and more like reality arriving all at once. Wawrinka, on the other hand, did what great champions do while they still have clarity. He announced it in advance, said 2026 would be his last season. He'll choose his tournaments, prepare his body, prepare his mind, not like someone running away, but like someone who wants to finish standing. Now comes the part most athletes never manage to do. You know what's strange? You spend your entire life being remembered for finals, titles, moments that enter history. And yet, the ending didn't come in a Grand Slam final. It wasn't on a perfect cinematic stage. It happened in the real world, just like life does with almost everything, without a script. You know what changed? In 2021, when the knee injury started, you didn't panic trying to prove you still had it. You adjusted fewer tournaments, careful scheduling, early returns when the body didn't respond. That's rare in a champion, recognizing when it's time to preserve, not conquer. And that's when I understood something important. You weren't leaving because you failed. You were leaving because you were aware, and that's when you taught me something almost no one teaches. Sometimes wisdom isn't forcing one last epic chapter. It's accepting that the stage was never about you. It was about the game. When you said goodbye, you wrote a letter. You thanked your family, your rivals, the fans. You didn't focus on what you didn't win. You focused on how you lived. That's one of the most mature things an athlete can do, and it's incredibly rare. Most people don't fail because they're bad. They fail because they don't know when to leave a game that's already over. When I stopped to think about it, I realized something no one was saying. When I think of you in 2025, I don't think of a specific tournament. I think about what remained. I think about Djokovic. I think about Nadal, about how each of you dealt with time in your own way, and how that reshaped what the world now considers possible in tennis. Djokovic at 38, still pushing the highest level. Nadal choosing to close the chapter in 2024. different paths, same lesson. Longevity isn't just about continuing. It's about continuing well and knowing when to stop without destroying yourself. That's why I say this. Your legacy isn't a number of titles. Numbers change. Your legacy is showing that excellence isn't a peak. It's showing up, adjusting, losing, learning, and in the end, knowing when to pivot while still being part of the game. But now the question is, what about you? I'm here in 2025, a little older than when I first watched you play. And you're there, outside the court, at peace, watching a new generation rise. That's the part of the game nobody talks about. The part where, after leaving, you can watch without envy, without regret, without thinking, maybe one more year, because you know you played it right. And for those watching, know in their 40s, 50s, or any stage asking, how much time do I have left? You taught something rare. Life isn't about lasting forever. It's about lasting well. Being excellent while you can. And then, with the same discipline you used to win, using it to leave. Thank you, Roger. Thank you for teaching us that there is victory in leaving with dignity. There's a continuation of this reflection in the pinned comment. This Christmas, instead of talking about the most important title of 2025, I wanted to talk about something harder, the wisdom of knowing when to stop. Because you showed us that knowing when to leave is just as difficult and just as important as knowing how to win. In a world that demands perfection, more non-stop momentum, you had the courage to choose when enough was enough. So, maybe the most honest question isn't, which title do you want to win? But, how much time is enough? And when you find that answer, you can finally rest. Merry Christmas, Roger. May your next chapters, away from the court, with your family, be just as beautiful as the ones you lived inside it.